Should we stay lean, get jacked, or ideally do both? This is a big dilemma a lot of guys run into where they want to chase size, but they also want to stay lean.
And we've gone over this in multiple videos and all over the channel. And if you have a look, you'll pretty much find that our consensus is always just get lean. Get lean first, then think about what you want to do after that. And we're going to explain a little bit more. We're going to optimize for 3 different goals here because your goals actually have a massive impact on how we can approach fitness, what we can do with our diet, and whether or not you should get lean or just fucking chase size and get massive.
So when it comes down to building a physique and a type of physique, it really does come down to what you want out of that physique, right? Do you want to build attraction around your physique? Get girls with your physique, right? Do you want to build up your social media? Or do you want to enter a bodybuilding competition, right? There are different reasons as to why we build a good physique.
And when it comes to the approach, I like to just lump things into 3 different categories. These are realistically like your 3 options. If we're being honest, you probably want one of these or just a mix of all of it. First one is just going to be attraction, just building an aesthetic, attractive physique. You just want the best like real world results, whether that's dating, whether that's just looking good and feeling good about yourself, you know, at the beach, etc. Social media potential. Now I lump this into just wanting to look insane because looking insane will get you the best results on social media, whether you want to be an influencer, a fitness coach, or you just want to stand out. And the third one is sustainability, just the lazy man's approach to it, right? You don't want to put a massive amount of effort into fitness. Fitness isn't your whole life, but you'd like to optimize that area. So that's building a physique that we can pretty much just maintain year round, and it requires minimal effort to do so.
So whether you pick, you know, staying lean or getting bigger, you know, one is going to be ideal for what you want, right? Because most guys think as a byproduct of getting big as fuck, you have to bulk, right? You have to put on excess amounts of fat. Therefore, you're not going to be lean, you're not going to be attractive, but that's not really the case. We always talk about it in the videos, right? Before you get big as fuck, you have to get lean anyway.
Everyone literally has this backwards, whether they come into us for coaching. I know in the comment section, you guys love to say it as well. And trust me, I read everything and I try to see things through every viewpoint. And I just come back to the exact same conclusion. People try to get big first. This is the mindset of most guys. It's, I don't want to lean down until I'm big. I'm just getting big first. I'll get big. I'll just get big as possible. Then I can lean down and look good. I can tell you that never works. No one ever sees results like that. And what you need to do is get lean first. Whether or not you look big, whether or not like you're skinny once you cut, you have to do it to get big. And you've probably heard this from us 100 times, but I'm gonna keep fucking hammering it down because it's what's actually gonna get people results. It's what gets our clients results. Yeah. People in the school group get results. Even people just watching the videos will DM us and saying, thank you. You told me to get lean. I was skeptical. I got shredded. Now I love the way I look and I can have fun in the gym, put on size, eat in a calorie surplus.
There are real reasons why we tell you to get lean first. For a start, you're in a way better environment to grow. Everything is upregulated, right? To bulk. Number 2 is that you've got way more leeway to grow, right? You're down to 10, 11%. You can bulk for a year straight. You might only end up at 15% body fat by the end of it. You're not at 15, 16, or even 20% body fat. Then you decide you want to get big and you want to bulk. And now you're obese, man. You're fat, right? You can stay lean, stay shredded, look good while putting on quality size, putting on lean muscle tissue rather than excess amounts of fat.
I'm going to give you an analogy that'll probably make a little bit more sense to you before we get into how to optimize for these 3 goals. Think of your body like a sponge, and let's think of growing like the calories we're eating as water, okay? What happens when people try to grow before they are actually properly lean, like under 12% body fat, is you already have a very saturated sponge. So when you expose that sponge to more water, right, you try to put it in the water to make that sponge heavier and bigger, nothing happens. It's already fully saturated with water. It's already wet. You can imagine you're putting a wet sponge into water, nothing really happens. When we get lean, our insulin sensitivity, our nutritional partitioning, and all of our body's processes act like a dry sponge. So think of it nice and light. It's fully dry, it's fresh, it's clean. We put it in water. Now we can actually have a wet sponge that grows. I know it's a stupid analogy, but in my head, it kind of makes sense. Just know that when you are high body fat, your body can't really grow that far. If it does grow, let's say you have a half wet sponge, it's only gonna grow a little bit and it's just gonna get saturated and you're only gonna get more out of shape. That's basically where I'm coming from.
And this is why I like the AAA physique approach so much, right? Because of everything we have learned in our fitness journey. We've been training for about 5 years now. We've gone through bulks and cuts. We were originally the skinny guys, then we were the fat guys. It got to like 25% body fat, took the bulk way too far. And because I had all these setbacks, I now understand this thoroughly. And I understand that building the AAA physique with the AAA physique approach is the best way to do it. You get lean first. You work on yourself, you work on your appearance, you quote unquote looks max so that you're attractive And then from there, we can build quality size over time while staying lean, staying attractive, and getting the real world results from our physique. And then come a year's time, you're even bigger and you're pretty much the same body fat. And even if you do have to cut at the end of that bulk, it's only a mini cut. Like you could literally join the December challenge. If you're 15, 16% body fat, you could join the December challenge. We have a pretty aggressive cutting approach. You know, it works. So if you're at the end of your bulk, that first link in the description, you can join the challenge in December. We can get you lean as fuck.
Yeah, and like the goal with all of these challenges is I kind of want to build out like a project AAA physique. So we're getting a cohort of guys very lean at the start, which is what we always advise people should do. They're all going to be lean, and then we're going to probably do like another challenge later down the line where we're going to start putting on some quality size with some of these guys, and you will watch physiques go from like a 3 out of 10 up to a 7 out of 10 with this long-term approach. And another analogy or an example that I think you can look at in terms of this approach is, think of the skinny guys, okay? The influencers that started off extremely skinny, the David Lades, like the Jeff Sides, the John Skywalkers, the super aesthetic guys, right? They started off very skinny, okay? That's a blessing, maybe it's not a blessing, whatever you want to think. They started lean. They never really got out of shape. They just slowly were just started putting on size. They stayed lean the whole time, and they were the most aesthetic guys on the internet. And then just think of the guys that you haven't really heard about, don't really have a name out there for looking aesthetic and looking like an aesthetic god. It's the guys that started kind of skinny fat or started overweight, never really got lean first, and just sort of floated around this like suboptimal body fat percent.
So we don't have to make this dragged out, right? Should you stay lean or should you get big as fuck? Well, we've pretty much already covered that. You get lean first and then you stay lean while you get big as fuck, right? You don't have to pick one or the other. If your goal is to simply just rot in the gym, you know, stay inside and play Fortnite, and you just want to get really big, you know, you're gonna look like a bloat lord, your face is gonna bloat up, you're gonna look like shit. Yes, you look big in a shirt, right? And you might get some praise in the gym. Other guys will say, you know, you've got a nice set of glutes or whatever. Yeah, okay, get big as fuck. Eat like 8,000 calories, have no discipline, have no real push to build anything substantial. And you can do it. You can just eat a shit ton of food and you'll get big, right? But for the guys that watch these videos, you know, we've all come to the conclusion and we've admitted that, you know, we want the real world result. We want to attract the woman of our dreams from the physique and because of the self-development you've done. And you want to max out your social media potential because we understand the leverage that provides. We understand we can build an income off it, we can build a following off of it. We can be ahead of the times in terms of what's going on right now.
Yeah, that's the reason we put out these 3 goals, is because what I hear most when it comes to the client questionnaires or when it comes to the YouTube comments, I just repeatedly hear these things. It's either I want to increase my traction, right? I want to boost my appeal. It's I want to build a social media presence around my physique. That's a huge one. A lot of you guys have that goal. And it's like sustainability. Guys are super up and down in terms of their discipline, in terms of their body composition. So these are the 3 main goals that people had. But let's like target one at a time what we can do in order to achieve 100% in these categories. So let's just look at attraction first. When it comes to attraction for the opposite gender, you don't even need to worry about this. You can literally just stay or just get lean. It's all that matters. Your face will chisel up. It's just building like an athlete physique. And even in terms of health markers, how your face looks, even just how you feel day to day, lots of brain clarity, just lower your calories and keep them low. Eventually you'll get nice and lean and athletic. You won't be the biggest, but if you can just build a little bit of discipline around your diet and just maintain that discipline and just be in a deficit until you get to like 11% body fat, and eventually that calorie intake will just become your maintenance. Just leave the calorie intake and you stay at about 11, 12%. I don't want to hear the cope about my testosterone will crash, my hormones will crash. If your hormones are crashing at 10% body fat, the body fat is not the issue. Your nutrition is the issue, your discipline is the issue, your sleep quality is the issue, it's something else. Yes, body fat baselines can be pretty genetic, but not by that much. Basically everyone, throw out a random number, 90% will operate just fine at 10% body fat. It's usually just people don't nail down the basics in the other areas, and that is the reason why they don't feel good at that body fat.
There's a lot of nuance that can be applied for attraction around a physique, right? Some guys can just get lean. They don't even really have to hit the gym that much. They might be in and out and they'll build an attractive physique. That's purely genetics, that's frame. There are some guys that need to get big. I was one of them. I am quite tall and I don't look the best when I have no muscle mass. The more muscle mass I put on, the better I look, the better response I get from the world. But that can't really be applied to everyone. I know some guys that can just stay lean and they've got great genetics, so they look good in a shirt, they look good just out at the beach, even with hardly any muscle mass purely because of insertions and other genetic factors.
So I'd argue you don't need to get that big, you know? A lot of guys even stock look big enough, but it's like 19 to 20 FFMI is basically like the prerequisite for, okay, now we can just get lean and look really good. We won't have the best social media potential because you do need a bit of size, but even sustainability, is almost ticked off. It does require a little bit of discipline just to keep the calories low because our environment in the West is not conducive to staying lean. If you eat intuitively, almost everyone will fall within that 16 to 20% body fat range because everything's just so calorie dense.
And with sustainability as well, you know, gym is a massive commitment. That's a lot of time that you are spending in the gym, and some guys love it and some guys just don't find the love for it. So if you've got good genetics and you don't like the gym, you know, that's great news. You don't really have to hit the gym. Yes, obviously putting on more muscle mass, even if you were one of those guys, would provide you with the benefits and you are gonna have more attraction based upon your physique. But then you just have to ask yourself, you know, do you want to add those points at the cost of, you know, extra time that you're spending in the gym and stuff? For me, I love the gym and I love the results it gets me, so I just put all my points into that.
And if you just wanted to get to that 19-20 effort for my, hit the gym 2 or 3 times a week, full body.
Yep.
Do it kind of intense, get a home gym, lift some dumbbells. It doesn't require that much to get to this level. If you're hypergonadal, which surprisingly is a lot of men, this will be very difficult. But like, if you can't achieve this easily, something else is wrong. Let's talk social media now. So I'd argue the social media physique isn't always sustainable in terms of the average person's discipline levels or commitment levels. However, it does have overlap with attraction. The best social media physiques a lot of the time will also harness the most attraction from the other gender. You know, I think what women want, it's like quite broad actually, but usually it is always just getting lean. Whether you're big or not is kind of like a bonus point. It appeals to different women, but the lean part is always there. That is 100% necessary for attraction and for socials.
And with social media, we're at the stage now, it doesn't really matter how big you are, how good you look. If you're looking to build an income off social media, I'm talking an actual good income, you're never gonna become really an influencer or anyone that makes money or a great deal of money through sponsorships unless you are roiding to the next dimension and you have the freakiest genetics. I'm talking 0.01% genetics, right? That's not most of you. So,
and there is different ways to go about social media where you can have 500,000 followers and not make any income at all. I just want you to watch this clip right now of a fitness influencer talking to FitX about his business.
You got 600K?
Yes, sir.
Just a lot of views, bro.
Yes, sir. So I'm telling you right now, like I straight up make maybe like $500 a month. Like I make no money doing this. So I mean, I've talked to a lot of people. Like I have sponsors. I'm sponsored by Young LA and Gorilla Mind.
I don't want to like put this guy down or anything, but it does just show in terms of your strategy, like we have like 1/10 of the followers and the traction that this guy has on social media. And I'm just going to be honest, we make far more. But we do have to say, you know, even think of yourself as a viewer, the better me, Nelson, look, the more likely you are going to be to invest in a fitness program, because it's not often someone that looks better than you is going to invest in your fitness program, is it? So
yeah, your physique is simply just your resume. It shows that you are disciplined, and it shows to people that invest in you that you are disciplined enough to give them good results. That's simply all it is. And if you set your business up in the right way with the right structure, you can make a lot of fucking money, man. Yeah, we've got entire courses on it in the school group, but yeah, with social media, you essentially just have to have like the AAA physique, just a really good standout physique. I'm talking like one of the best physiques in your gym if you just go to like a commercial gym.
Yeah, so the only difference between attraction and socials is probably an extra 20 pounds of muscle mass. Let's just like say 23 plus FFMI, and there's different angles you can, like obviously you can just be a fucking monster and just look like Andrei Smaev or Genetic Anomaly or some guy like that, and that also gets the same sort of result, but it's just being lean and big at the same time.
In terms of sustainability, I think people highly underestimate the level of physique that they can sustain and get. Having the AAA physique is quite easy to sustain, right? You just have to live a disciplined life in terms of the food you eat. And once you build up those micro habits and you eat the right things, maybe you've gone through our school content and you follow the same diets that we recommend, you then just build like a taste for that food, and that's just the way you eat. You identify yourself as someone who eats healthy. That's easy. The next thing is the gym, right? You go do a normal split, like a push-pull leg split, a full body, upper, lower. You follow that split religiously, it works for you, it works around your lifestyle. That becomes like brushing your teeth now. So now you live the AAA lifestyle, and building a physique is just a byproduct of the habits you've built.
And I don't want to underplay anything that I do in terms of my discipline, but yeah, like Nelson mentioned, it's not that hard, really. Everyone has the time in the day for the gym. You work 12-hour days. Okay, Go for 40 minutes on the way to work. Go for 40 minutes just before you get home. That's such a small chunk out of your day. And in terms of the diet, like Nelson mentioned, you will just build a taste for healthy eating. It would be very hard for me to be overweight now. I wouldn't enjoy eating like a fat person does. I wouldn't enjoy eating processed food. Genuinely, I could eat how I want and maintain 12 to 13% body fat. It just requires building up habits. Everything is just habit building, and I cannot say this enough to people because I just need to get it through to their fucking heads that if they just build good habits, it doesn't require effort to maintain those habits.
So, should you stay lean or should you get big? I think everyone should strive to be as big and as lean as possible, right? That is my perspective on it. But you shouldn't really try to be doing both at the exact same time. In a bulk, it's almost guaranteed you're gonna put on some fat mass, right? We do it in cycles. Everyone knows there's bulks and cuts. Me and Will always say, yes, stay lean during the bulk, but just don't get too fat. It's quite simple. Get lean first, then get big.
We just want to be trying to get big for longer periods that we're trying to get lean, because we just get lean over a short period of time, 6 to 8 weeks, depending on how high your body fat level is. And then ideally, we just want to stay in that range as long as possible. Yes, it's inevitable that you eventually will put on an uncomfortable amount of body fat, and yeah, you might plateau in terms of that. But if we want to continue growing, body fat will come with it. That is a given. So we just want to prolong that as long as possible. We just made a video on this on how we'd gain 20 pounds in one bulk. And at the end of the video, we're going to point you in that direction. But that's essentially it. It's getting lean ASAP. If you're not lean now, get lean, and then enter as long of a bulk as you physically can. Now, we don't want to drag it out over 5 years because you're just going to be leaving gains on the table. We want to gain at a steady rate, but ideally we just don't want to bulk too far, right? The professionals will tell you this. Experienced bodybuilders will tell you this. If you don't believe us, okay, just, I don't know, keep seeing suboptimal results.
So to finally answer the question, you should cut if you're above 15 to 16% body fat, right? Get lean, get very lean, 10, 11% body fat, and then and only then can you get big and do a bulk. If you wanna learn our entire process of how we put on over 20 pounds in one bulk, you can watch that video right there. If you wanna get lean down to 10% body fat and you wanna do that in December, we're looking for, I think, 3 more guys now. So most of the spots have filled, but you can go to that first link in the description and it's got all the details there, and we can talk to you one-on-one to make that happen.
Subscribe to the channel. See you next one.